Well, how festive is this? How good is this? A good day to you from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm Jon Anik. Welcome to the UFC 264 betting preview presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. And man, have we got all hands on deck today as I am joined by the veteran mixed martial arts journalist from The Ringer, Chuck Mindenhall, and a man who really needs no introduction around these parts or any other from the 305, Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. And we got a lot to get into today, boys, so let us get right to it. As many of you know, the trilogy is upon us, UFC 264, Poirier versus McGregor 3. So where are the betting odds right now as we come to you here during the middle of fight week? Dustin Poirier holding as the favorite, minus 130. The comeback on Conor McGregor at plus 108. Chuck, we will begin with you. DraftKings Sportsbook opened this as a pick'em. Some money has come in on Dustin Poirier. Why do you think he's the betting favorite, at least right now?
I think that it's just that we saw in January, the last fight, we saw what he was able to do. I think a lot of that has to do with an esoteric stake. So when he fought in 2014, when they first met,
right,
it was the Conor McGregor show. It was all downhill momentum for that guy. I felt like everything was a part of the Conor McGregor bubble. This was kind of the perfect setup for him, for Dustin Poirier to go into a situation where there's a couple thousand fans at Fight Island to really focus in, put all that aside, and do what he did. And I felt like, I'm sure you guys will agree to an extent, I felt like he had a lot of options to him on how he might want to take that fight. And
right,
he had McGregor kind of dancing to his tune a little bit. It really comes down to the adjustments that McGregor's going to make. But I think the line is actually just about there. To me, it feels like a coin flip. So,
well, Jorge, Dustin Poirier is your longtime teammate and friend. What can you tell us about his training camp and ultimately the position that he comes in to this trilogy?
I can tell you he's in phenomenal shape, man. I've been in there since the start of the camp, and he came in shape, He wasn't messing around. He knew that third fight was going to happen at some point, so it's not like he went home and gave himself any slack. He came back full six-packed out, in shape. Right. He was doing 5 rounds since he got back. I usually see him progress, and he gets in better shape every week. I mean, he came in fight shape already on week 1, and it's just he's looking phenomenal, man. He's going to hurt somebody.
All right, well, the series is 1-1. And the trilogy, of course, is going to be completed here in a matter of days. And we want to welcome in the 4th member of our broadcast team. He is the director of race and sportsbook operations for DraftKings, Johnny Avello, certainly a legend around these parts. And I know for me and Chuck, it's been great to get to know you and chop it up with you a little bit. What can you tell us about the handle and the action that has come in on this main event thus far?
Well, first of all, guys, I love the element I'm in. I'm in a sports book where people bet money and win money. It couldn't feel any better. The money that's being bet on this so far is actually coming on McGregor. Although the line move has gone from a pick to minus 30. That's because most of the money has come in as of late. But as far as bets are concerned, about 55% of the bets are on McGregor, 45% on Poirier. Now, this is one interesting fact, guy, is will the fight end in the first 60 seconds of the first round? I have never seen this since I've been bookmaking. 100% on the money says yes.
Yeah, I believe that. So, Johnny, when you're setting a line for this trilogy fight, obviously Conor McGregor was a much more prohibitive favorite for that second meeting. You opened this a pick'em. Any insight as to why you opened at that number?
Well, let's go back to the first fight back in 14. We opened McGregor minus 280. He wins that fight easily. Now we go to the 6 months ago. We opened him up, I think it was 280, went up to 330 at close. He loses that fight. So bookmakers have to make adjustments. So we thought a pick'em was the right adjustment for this one. The bettors have told us that the adjustment wasn't enough. So pick him up to 130 so far, Poirier. But I think there's going to be plenty of McGregor money. This fight might even come back.
In my next lifetime, I want to come back as Johnny Avello, but I just got to be Jon Anik for today. Gamebred, I want to go to you on Dustin Poirier here. What do you think he needs to do to win this fight? I know you have a healthy amount of respect for Conor McGregor, especially early in the fight. What does Dustin have to do to make sure he gets the job done?
I think Conor gets his timing better than anybody, faster than anybody. So if he can't get his timing on the feet right away, he has to do things, move, chop his legs, grapple, wrestle with him. Just take Conor away from that because he's one of the best sprinters. When we're coming off the blocks, man, this guy's a 100-yard sprinter right away. He's in your face right away, landing big shots. I think Dustin's going to be more than ready for it, though. He's faced him twice. They got a lot of strategies going into it. And I think stand-up anyways, since he's dealt with it on those 2 occasions, he knows how quickly he can find his timing. I don't think he's going to catch him by surprise, even on the feet. But I think that is Conor's best strength, is how quickly he can get to where he's good at and stay there.
There is no overstating Poirier's confidence based upon everything he's done in his UFC career with 19 wins, but also the win over Conor McGregor about 6 months or so ago. A lot of people have talked about Conor McGregor in terms of the adjustments. A lot of people feel like he's got to get it done early. What are your thoughts on Conor and ultimately how he chooses to attack in this one?
It's kind of funny how this has happened because it's almost a juxtaposition from the first fight 6 years ago in terms of the psychology here. Conor controlled the narrative. Conor had the psychology behind him, the collective rooting interest, I think. This has gotten strange because I think of the way Poirier showed himself in this last fight. I feel like now the mental side falls to Conor McGregor to react, right? Because he has more to think about. Those calf kicks that were landing and taking his legs out of the action. He also got taken down pretty immediately in that last fight. There's more things for him to do. You can even see it in the gamesmanship going on Twitter a little bit with the first to shoot. Yeah, that whole thing. I feel like there's some mental play, but this time I feel like the mental edge actually goes to Poirier. That stuff fascinates me. And then you look at a trilogy fight and it becomes the broader picture, right? It becomes maybe Poirier's story the whole way. Like it's one of those type of things. So the stakes are pretty crazy in this one. I feel like the legacies, there's going to be a fork in the road one way or another. I think that Poirier has probably established himself somewhere pretty high anyway, but this would just make him, I know you were talking about him being a Hall of Famer at some point. I think that this would just solidify something like that.
All right, so there's only one member of the panel who's required to make a pick today. GameBread, it's not you, so that's a good thing. Chuck, who do you have in this main event?
You know who I was going to pick.
I think it goes without saying. We confer. I went back and forth on this. This is a tough one, but I think that ultimately, when I look at it, you look at the evidence from 2014 and you look at it in 2020 in January, I see such a difference. And realistically, Conor McGregor's had what? He's had a couple of fights at lightweight. He's had one victory.
Right.
I think these things really matter. Dustin Poirier has been at it. He's been doing this for so long. You can tell that the aura of this fight doesn't affect him in the way that it might have when he was younger. I just can't pick against him. I'm going Dustin Poirier with this one.
All right, looks like Dustin Poirier is the pick to click for Chuck Mindenhall. All right, co-main event, a healthy appetizer for McGregor and Poirier, of course. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, the fourth-ranked welterweight contender, taking on second-ranked Gilbert Durinho Burns. Johnny Avello, I want to open with you here, at least as we look at the number on DraftKings right now. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, minus 155. Gilbert Durinho Burns, plus 125. What can you tell us about those numbers relative to the opening number and where some of the early action is on the co-main event?
A little bit of movement here. We opened the fight a little bit higher. We had this fight at 165 down to 155. 51% of the handle right now on Burns, 49% of the handle on Thompson. So it's my kind of fight. I love it. I love equal action like that, guys. It's a great fight. We got a jiu-jitsu guy against an outstanding striker. Don't sell this one short either. This looks like it could be a main event any other day.
Bookmakers love that two-way action. Jorge, you have shared the octagon with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I'd imagine he's a difficult guy to fight, to prepare for. You had some success in that fight, obviously, but what makes him such a significant challenge?
He's amazing at keeping it in his distance where not everybody is used to competing in that distance. And he's not fighting the outside. He's fighting like an outside. And, man, he's great at keeping it there the whole time, landing strikes. And a lot of his strikes look like the last strike that he threw, but it's not,
Right.
His side kick blends in really well with his high kick, and his straight punches are followed by kicks. I think he does a really, really good job of just keeping the fight on the outside and never letting you get to your game. I think at 170, Durinho hasn't shown a lot of his grappling skills at 170. He hasn't been able to take guys down and control them. I think he's a little bit undersized. I don't see him having success after the first round. If he was to catch Thompson in the first round and submit him,
right,
I think he could win it. But that's the only way I give him. I'm leaning towards Thompson, heavy landslide, just outworking him every round, stuffing takedowns, and keeping him on the feet and just lighting him up.
Yeah, Burns definitely has knockout power. You think he needs a floor fight, though, to win? Or
I think on the feet they're, and, crazier things have happened, but I think on the feet they're worlds apart.
Yeah.
As in Thompson understands striking. Durinho just realized that he has a little bit of hand power and he can knock guys down, but he doesn't understand the game completely. He doesn't understand setups or when he's getting set up himself. Thompson has a very firm understanding of that. And to get to his legs, it's not easy, man. The guy is just a nightmare, I think, for wrestlers. That distance that he imposes the whole freaking time, amazing.
Chuck, how do you handicap this co-main event? Gilbert Burns, plus 125. He's the underdog. Despite having the higher ranking, he gets the red corner. How do you handicap this fight?
I agree with Jorge 100%. I think that his best chance of getting it done is early, because if evidence has told us anything, is that Wonderboy Thompson never gets blown out, right? Like with maybe the outlier being obviously that Pettis fight where he was caught in that, but he doesn't get blown out. And he kind of forces you very subtly to fight his fight. I know Masvidal knows a lot about this because you'll see him, his offense incorporates retreating is part of his offense. He weaponizes his retreat. It's kind of it's a very difficult type of thing when he's blading and he's throwing those kicks and everything. I think the longer the fight goes on, the more that the other, Burns might have to ratchet up his pressure and want to come back in this fight. But that's kind of playing right into Wonder Boy's what he wants to do because he's so good at countering. So I see this being early for Burns if he can get it done, but the later it goes, I see it for Thompson.
All right, it sounds like the iconic Jorge Masvidal is picking Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, but he is not contractually obligated to make a selection today. You are. Yep. So, Chuck, who's the pick to click in the co-main event?
So I'm definitely going to go Wonderboy Thompson. I think this is actually a great fight for him. He's also, is he 38 years old? He's right around 38 years old. I think he's at the last moment, right, where he's really going for his title run. He stays out of harm's way. He knows how to keep guys at distance, as he was mentioned. I just think that he's going to outpoint him. He's okay outpointing him. You know what I mean? I think, and that's some people don't like that type of fight, but it's masterful stuff that he does in there. And I think that that's how he's going to get it done, a decision.
I saw you lean in. You got a final thought on Burns Masvidal, or excuse me, Burns Thompson? Are you good?
Yeah, I'd like to fight any of those winners.
I know.
Oh yeah,
definitely like to fight the winner. Final thoughts. If Gilbert, I think, gets overcommitted, I think I can see Thompson with a stoppage, man.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see how it plays out. And, of course, DraftKings Sportsbook has all of the propositions that you're looking for, if indeed that is your cup of tea. All right, Johnny Avello, I want to get to you on one final topic today before we put a bow on things. Sugar Sean O'Malley was to face Louis Smolka on pay-per-view this Saturday night. Louis Smolka has been infected by staph. So in steps the New Englander Chris Motino on short notice to make his UFC debut. He's won 2 in a row on the regional scene in New England. Not a lot of film on this guy. So for you as the bookmaker, how do you even go about setting a price when you have a guy in Sean O'Malley who's on the cusp of bantamweight title contention taking on the far lesser known Chris Motino?
Yeah, he's fought some soft competition, so I had 2 darts, John. One of the darts was minus 835, and the other one was minus 1100. So I threw the one, it landed 835. That's the price we landed on. I don't think anybody wants to lay 835, but it sure looks like an easy price for easy money, doesn't it?
So, yeah, I mean, if you don't know, $835 on a straight wager on Sean O'Malley returns you $100. So risk-reward, not a great situation there. What are your thoughts, Chuck, on O'Malley and Motino here in a few days?
If there's a moment of hesitation to take that type of bet, it would obviously be the durability, right, of O'Malley, because we've seen him hurt to the point where on one fight he was able to finish it. He does his post-fight interview on the ground, but he's hurt. And the next one against Chito Vera, he couldn't continue, and it hurt him, and he loses the fight. The durability thing is what always makes you a little bit hesitant on that sort of thing. But take that side of it away. I just think that O'Malley's at a place right now. I don't know a ton about his opponent. Like you said, it's not easy to say, but I think that O'Malley's at a place right now, especially off that last fight, getting his confidence back, everything. He looks really good to me, so I feel like that should be easy money.
Jorge, Sean O'Malley feels like right now his mindset and his skill set are good enough to challenge for the Bantamweight Championship. I don't know where you fall on O'Malley and how high you think his ceiling is, but he's putting a lot on the line here, fighting a newcomer that could take a lot of what he has worked for away. What are your thoughts on what we might see this week?
Athletically, I think the kid is beyond gifted. You know, his timing, his distance, reflexes, his technique, and the little bit of time that he's been in the sport and how he's put it together, I think he's phenomenal there. Like you say, though, durability and dogness in a fighter is like, man, everything, though, especially in longevity and especially in the UFC where, you know, maybe you might fight a newcomer now, but then after that, you're going to be in the gauntlet. You're going to fight number 4, number 3, number 2, and you have to be durable. But I don't think he's going to have to be too durable against this guy. You know, I think, you know, I don't know anything about the other guy.
Yeah.
I'm guessing O'Malley walks over him.
You're right, though. You're right, though, in terms of O'Malley's durability. It's been called into question, and obviously there are a lot of examples of it failing him in the past. And Motino is a dog, right? If you're looking for the dog, I mean, he is a dog, but he is a decided underdog.
And me usually, because I don't believe that nobody's in a fight, that nobody's 10-1 over a guy or something like that. Right. So I usually will bet on the underdog for these, even if it's like $100 I'm throwing away. Just, you know. Yeah. Why not?
All right, good stuff. Well, McGregor versus Poirier 3, of course, is coming up this weekend, and we want to get you in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC. And how about this knockout offer for this weekend? 264 to 1 odds on a knockout in the first round during Saturday's main event. If this rubber match ends in a first round knockout, one way or the other, and you're on the right side, your $1 bet will pay you $264. You get the same odds if you back Dustin Poirier or Conor McGregor, but the rub, of course, is you got to get that right. You also have to be a new customer on DraftKings Sportsbook. I can assure you, though, DraftKings safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. And, of course, if mixed martial arts betting is not for you, why? But of course, we have other options as well. Great odds and promotions on basketball, hockey, baseball, and so much more. So download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code VEGAS when you sign up to turn $1 into $264 when you bet on a main event fighter to win by first-round knockout. Place your bet and watch the fist fly this weekend. That's code VEGAS to turn $1 into $264 large, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. All right, thank you all for indulging us for this UFC 264 betting preview presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. For Chuck Mindenhall, Jorge Masvidal, and Johnny Avello, Jon Anik saying so long for now. We'll see you next month in advance of UFC 265.